Hey guys, what's up? It's Cage here from CageClouds.com, and I'm here today to talk to all of you folks who bought one of these Subox Minis, or maybe you just bought the Subtank Mini. Now, the great thing about these devices is it comes with the RBA tank, or the RBA tank, no, the RBA deck, the RBA section, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, a lot of these manufacturers, people like the Triton and the UL Crown and all these different places, they have these different RBA sections, but they don't include them. Well, the great thing about these is it does come with it. And it's a great little thing for you if you don't want to be spending all of your money on coils all the time, if you don't want to be spending them on these pre-made coils, and you want to learn to build, or you want to, maybe you already know how to build, but you just want to save yourself some money, the RBA section that comes in these things is a great little tool for you. The problem, though, is that to be perfectly honest, on these, it's a little bit finicky, right? If you don't do it exactly right, if you don't make the coil the right way, if you don't do the wicking the right way, then you're going to end up with dry hits, you're going to end up with burnt hits, you're going to end up with no whatever, okay? You're going to end up with things that are no bueno. Now, if you're anything like me, here's what's going to happen. You buy one of these tanks, or you buy one of these Subox Mini whole systems, right? And what are you going to do? You're going to get the box, you're going to get your OCC coil that comes with it, right? The pre-made coils. You're going to put that in, you're going to vape your little brains out, and then when that coil gets burnt out and you get done with that one, then what are you going to, because you know, you're going to start there because it's the easiest thing to do, right? And then when you get done with that, you're going to want to go to the RBA section, and you're going to want a vape that's exactly the same as what you got off that OCC coil. And that's kind of a hard thing to do, right? That's a hard thing to get if you don't know the right way to build this coil, and if you don't know the right way to do the wicking. So today we're going to go through it. I'm going to show you exactly how. I've been using this thing for a while. I've been using this for a couple of months now. I have tried to make literally coils in all kinds of different ways and different gauges and different methods and different ohms and different whatever. I'm going to show you through all of that testing the absolute easiest and best way to build this coil. Stick around. All right, guys, here we go. So we are here on the desktop, and I'm going to start with the RBA deck already kind of opened up, and you know, this thing has all been cleaned out, and I'm starting brand new, fresh for you guys, just so you can kind of see what we're doing. Now, keep in mind, obviously, I'm using the Subox Mini to do this, but this method that I'm going to show you is going to work exactly the same, even if you don't have this product and you just have the Subtank Mini with the RBA deck. It's going to work exactly the same, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out by building our coil. Now, I've got some 28 gauge Kanthal, and I know what you might be thinking. You're thinking, hey, 28 gauge, man, that sounds awful thin. I don't know if I want to use 28 gauge. Well, I've tried a bunch of different methods, like I said, and I've tried different gauges, and for me, for the way that I like to vape, the 28 gauge has worked the best for getting me those consistently good hits. So what I'm going to do, I'm using the Coil Master here to build this coil, just because I think it's the easiest way to go. And I'm going to do this. This is a 2.5 millimeter post that I'm going to be using. So, and basically what we're going to do is I want to get 5 wraps out of this. So for me, what that means is I'm actually going to do 6 wraps on this coil so that I can get 5 good wraps out of it. So we'll start here, and we'll do, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to go a little bit extra so that it's facing the other way. Remember, on these coils, you want one lead facing one way and one lead facing the other way, okay? Like we've got right here, kind of. So then we're going to turn this one around, put it back onto our post, and this is why I do 6 in order to get 5, because I'm just going to pull out this very first wrap that I did, because it was a little janky, and now what I'm left with is 5 pretty good wraps on this. Hopefully you can see that. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit strange, all right? Because for those of us who are used to doing contact coils for everything, and take it from me, I've done a ton of contact coils on this Subox, and what I've come to realize is contact coils don't work as well as spaced coils do. Not on the Subox Mini and not on the sub tank. And I know that it sucks, okay? Let's just be perfectly honest, because nobody likes making spaced coils, right? I don't like it. I'm sure you don't like it. But I kind of got the idea when I started looking at the pre-made coils that come with this product, that come with the Subox Mini. They're spaced coils. And so I started looking at that and thinking, well, hey, if Kanger is sending this to us with a spaced coil in there, maybe they know something. Maybe I should take something from what they're sending us, and maybe I should use that. And guess what? It actually does work a whole lot better. So we're going to take this coil that's, you know, nice and together right now, and we're just going to grab both leads, and we're just going to gently kind of pull it out a little bit. We're just going to pull it out, and we're going to try to space this out a little bit. And we're going to have to kind of play with it a little bit, and we're going to use the back here to kind of push it back if we start to get a little messed up, because we don't want them crazy spaced. We don't want, you know, we don't want 4 millimeters in between each one of these coils. We just want them just barely spaced out a little bit, okay? Get a nice spacing, and use your post here on the back side, or if you're using a screwdriver, you can use the end of the screwdriver to kind of push this up against here and kind of get it back to where it needs to be. You just want these coils, you want them spaced, but you want them as evenly spaced as you can possibly get them, okay? So we end up with, after playing around with it for a few minutes, we end up with something that looks kind of like this, okay? Now you've got spaced out coils that look not great but not terrible, and they're going to work for what we're trying to do here, okay? And again, keep in mind, as you're doing this, just make sure that you get one lead coming this way and one lead going that way, or else it's not going to work here on the product. So now that we've got our coil basically built, we're going to go ahead and install it onto the Subox Mini. And we're just going to do this nice and easy. We're going to, as you can see, we've got both of the leads on top right now. And I've kind of seen other people do different builds on this and do it a couple of different ways. I like the leads on the top of the coil when you install it, because then your coil is a little further down on the deck and it's a little closer to that air hole. And I feel like you get a little better flavor that way. So basically, I'm just going to start with this one side. I'm going to put one lead into one side of this. I'm going to put the other lead into the other side. I'm not really going to worry about that back side one yet. And let me just get in here and just tighten this one side down. I know this is a little hard to see. I'm kind of blocking it. It's hard to do this on camera. But what I'm trying to do is just get this one lead captured on this side and get my coil somewhere near the middle of the air hole, okay? Which is what I've done here. Now that I've got this side, now we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to see, pinch that just a little bit so that we can get that side into the screw. We'll put our bit back in here just to keep it kind of all working together. We may need to move this over just a little bit, just a hair. Alright, so we've got this one in, and we're going to capture that lead. Alright, so now we've got both leads captured. We're just going to make sure those are nice and tight. And we're going to kind of take a look, and we're going to play with it. We want this coil directly over that air hole. And we've got, as you can see, I've got it down a little bit too far right here, so we're going to raise that up a little bit, because we don't want it actually to touch the air hole. We don't want it touching any metal, because you're going to potentially get a short. but you want it down, you know, nice and close to the deck. You want it nice and close to that air hole. We've got a decent looking coil. It's a weird looking coil because it's not a contact coil that we're all used to, but this is how we're gonna do this one. Now, let me trim these leads. Get rid of what we don't need here. And I'm just trimming these real close because you don't want to run the risk of having this touch the chimney when you put that chimney on here in a couple of minutes. All right, so let's turn on our device. We've had it off this whole time. I'm going to turn this down to about 20 watts. I want to fire it, but I don't want to go crazy with it. All right, so we're at 20 watts. Let's just see what this is reading right now. It's actually reading at 1 ohm, which is about right, what I was kind of expecting it to be. So let's just pulse this for a minute and just kind of see what it does. And as you can see, that is lighting up right from the middle, which is exactly how we want it to be, right? We want it to light up from the middle and kind of be evenly going out, which is pretty easy to do using one of these spaced coils. So that looks pretty good. And now let's worry about the wicking. Now this is where, again, there's kind of two secrets to this coil method. There's two secrets to getting good consistent hits on this Subox Mini or the Kanger sub tank in general. The first is to use that spaced coil, again, in my opinion. And the second is your wicking. Now your wicking is going to be crazy important. Too much wick and you're going to choke it off and you're going to start getting dry hits. Too little wick and it's either going to flood or, you know, it's just you're not gonna get consistently good hits. So what I've kind of started to do on this, I like to cut about, I don't even know, what is that? Is that 1/4 of an inch? I'm not real sure. I just kind of do it by eye. I'm gonna cut, I don't need 2 of those. I'm not doing a dual coil. I'm kind of used to cutting 2 of these. So this is just basic. These are your basic sheets of organic cotton that I bought off of Amazon in a big old box of it. You can see it's even got some of these seeds still in here. Now we're gonna get rid of the top layer on each side of this, just because it's got the seeds in there and because it's not, that top layer is not that fluffy cotton that you really want to get to. So I'm just gonna try to get rid of these top layers on each side. So what I'm left with is just fluffy, nice cotton. All right, so there's that one. And now we're left with a nice little fluffy piece of cotton, and we're just gonna take this and we're just gonna roll this in. We're just gonna roll this up and get it nicely to a nice little point here so we can get it into that coil, right? So we take this. First of all, I'm going to make sure this is back off, okay? For those of you who have ever burned your cotton before, you know that it's really easy to accidentally, once you get this cotton in there, accidentally hit that button when you're not expecting to hit that button, and then you're going to fry your cotton, and it's not going to be fun. You're going to have to start all back over again. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the device off there, and now I'm going to just put this right in here. Now, I want to get this in here. I don't want it tight. I don't want it, to move the mod when I'm moving this back and forth. I just want a nice amount of cotton in there, just like this. I think that looks really, really good. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim this cotton. If I can find scissors, where are they? Here we are. Okay, so to trim this, again, tried a few different methods on this. What I've kind of found is I like to go right here on the edge of the deck and just kind of trim right about there. And I'm right here on the edge of the deck again, and I'm going to trim right about there. And I'm kind of left with this right here. I'm left with this amount of cotton just kind of sticking out of both sides, and it's still nice and fluffy. And then I'm going to take my chimney, and for those of you who don't know, this chimney is going to match up to that screw right there, and that's what's going to hold this on. So I'm just going to take this chimney, and I'm just going to take my cotton and try to like push it up and get it up in that chimney, kind of like this, until I get it in there. There we go. And so now I've got my chimney all the way down, and I can screw that in. And the reason why I did it this way is if you don't do it this way and you just keep your cotton the way that it is, you can try to trim it like right there on the edge. But as you can see, like this is the perfect amount of cotton that I like to use on this. Anything more than this and you start to choke it off a little bit. So you could really probably cut it once you pull your little bunny ears up or whatever, put your chimney on, and then cut it at this point. As long as you cut it right close, just right there at the top, you'll probably be okay. But for me, it's just easier to go ahead and cut it first. So what you've got now, if you look inside of here, is you've got the cotton kind of in there. It's not perfect. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's covering these holes. You want to make sure that it's down. So I'm just going to use my screwdriver. I'm just going to push it down. Now, I don't want to pack it down. I don't want to get it tight in there. I just want to kind of fluff it out a little bit. And I just want to kind of play with it a little bit and get it down in there until I can see a little bit of the light. Can you? Hopefully you can see that. I'll show you a little bit better here in a second. I'll go a little bit closer up so you can see this. But I'm just going to pack this down a little. No, not packing. Bad word to use. Bad choice of words. Not going to pack this down. We're just going to kind of push this down into the hole. We're going to make sure that each one of these two holes have cotton coming through, that have cotton kind of sitting right there flush. We don't want it coming through the hole. We don't want it sticking out or anything crazy like that, but we just want it to be nice and covering these holes so that we get a perfect wick every time. And then if you look down in here, let me get a little bit closer for you guys just so you can kind of see this a little bit better. Right down in here, if you'll look, you can start to see a little bit of light coming through. You see that? And on this side, you can start to see just a little bit of light coming through right there. That's what we want. That's that tells us that we've kind of pushed it down enough, and we've got the cotton in there right at the right place, right where we want the cotton to be, but we haven't packed it down too much, and we're covering that hole, but we're not killing the hole. We're not choking that hole off. So that's exactly where we want this to be. And then basically from here, it's pretty easy. We just take a little bit of juice and we'll throw this juice on here and just get that nice and soaked. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy. We don't have to put too much on here. Just enough to get that cotton soaked. You'll see that it's starting to, I'll even put a little bit on these two holes, but you can see that it's already starting to kind of fill in, and that juice is just soaking into that cotton and coming right to this hole, so you could already kind of see that. And that's pretty much it. So now let's start this thing back up and see where we're at. We're still showing right at 1 ohm, which, by the way, I know it seems high. I know 1 ohm is high, but again, for what we're doing here for this build, I found it to be a really good build at 1 ohm. And we're getting a few little vapors. We've still got the wattage turned way down, but that's basically how we're going to wick this. And then we're just going to take our little top to our chimney. We'll put the top right back on here. Maybe. There we go. And then we're ready to try this thing out. So let's go back up top now that we've got this built. Let's go back up top and vape it and see how it works. All right, guys, so we're back. This is a 70 VG juice, and that's kind of the reason why I'm using this, because I want to show you that even with a high VG juice, you're still not going to get, hopefully, dry hits, and you're not going to get burnt hits either. So this one, I showed it to you. We're still reading 1 ohm, and I'm going to vape this at 23 watts. Now, again, for the other things that I have, this is actually one of the highest builds that I do. All the other stuff I'm down 0.4, 0.5. I don't go crazy low, but typically I'm in the 0.4, 0.5 ohm range. This one I do vape a little bit higher, but what I like about it is, because this one I kind of use when I'm on the go. This is when I'm at work or whatever, I take this with me. I can crank this up, even at 23 watts, that's 4.7 volts that I'm getting off of this, and so I'm still getting a nice warm vape out of it, but I'm not burning through juice all day long, and I'm not burning through battery life all day long. So I can literally have this all day, my whole day at work, and by the time I get home, my tank is pretty well getting close to being empty, but I don't have to refill during the day and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of like doing it a little bit higher this way. Now, if you use, maybe if you use the 26 gauge Kanthal, I wouldn't use 24 gauge on here. I actually have tried that, and the 24 gauge Kanthal on this just doesn't work as well. You don't get, it's just a little bit too low of an ohm, and so you start burning through that juice a little bit faster, and you do start getting dry hits. So I would stay away from that. But a 26 would probably work if you wanted to bring your ohms down a little bit, maybe to the 0.7 range, something like that. But again, this is what we've got. We've got 1 ohm, 70 VG juice. Let's just see how many we can get on here before we get a dry hit that I'm hoping that we don't get at all. So that's great flavor. You're getting, remember how I showed you how to put the coil down right over that air hole, and it's low, and so I feel like that's helping get that flavor. You're getting a great flavor off of this. Plus, you know, you're not getting huge clouds, bro, but you're getting, you know, you're getting a nice amount of vapor out of this. It's keeping up just fine. I can see bubbles coming up, so it's wicking. Still completely saturated. What is that, 5? Yeah, it's never been dry yet. That's 7. Let's do one more. All right, so that's 8 pulls off of this. That's 8 hits. Never went dry, never went burnt. Just great performance out of this little coil that we've got in here. And the best part is I don't have to go and spend money to buy the OCC coils. Now, I like the OCC coils, don't get me wrong, but if I can get that kind of performance out of this, and let's be honest, I'm not going to vape it like that. I'm not going to take, you know, I'm not going to do 8 in a row just back to back and going crazy like that. Maybe you are, I don't know. That's not how I vape. Maybe that's how you vape, but I'm not going to do it that way. But if I can get this kind of performance for, you know, the cost of that little tiny strip of Kanthal that I used, which is what, pennies, right? If I can get that kind of performance out of that without having to buy those OCC coils, I think that's a win in my book. So take from it what you will. I mean, what have you found as you've been building this? If you've got this tank or you've got this Subox kit, have you been using that RBA section? And if so, I mean, what kind of builds are you using down there? Let us know down in the comments below. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you like this video and you want to see more things kind of like this, or reviews, or I don't know, whatever it is that happens to be kind of on my mind and that I want to talk about that particular day. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you can hang out with us. And that's pretty much all I've got. So until next time, once you throw away that pack of cigarettes and grab yourself a vape, and thank you so much for watching this video.